from the mouth down the anus is one tube called the alimentary canal, and we've been studying the different structures of the digestive system, and we're going to walk through the gross anatomy and the micro, and walk right through pretty much this handout. This is a handout that my students received, so I'm going to pick off some of the ones in this picture, and some of them are on the mannequins, some of them are going to be in PowerPoint pictures. So here's some mannequin pictures that I'll kind of rattle through here, and then we'll work our way down the alimentary canal. Alright, brought to you by Curious Brandland. So let's go ahead and start with one of the things that the students need to understand is the 4 tissue layers throughout the alimentary canal. Now, some of them are different, and I'll do other videos on the difference between those. So I want to focus on, give my students a quick tool that they can review before they take their practical. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So the oral canal, on the mannequins, there's 3 glands that you can see. The sublingual, the submandibular, and then if you switch to this angle, so this is a lateral view, you see the parotid gland, and you see the submandibular in this view as well. So here's just the drawing of it. So you see here's the teeth, the tongue. Let's go down to the next one. Alright, so here's the parotid gland, here's the sublingual, and then here's the submandibular gland. Alright, teeth are pretty obvious, you know, and it is on our list, but let's go ahead and find the uvula and the epiglottis, and then we'll go right to the stomach. Imagine as we're doing this, we're walking through the alimentary canal, and there's some organs, like these 2 glands, 3 glands that we mentioned. They are going to start carbohydrate digestion by interjecting saliva into the mouth when you start chewing, and it's going to start the breakdown. They're going to be releasing salivary amylase. Pancreatic amylase will come later. All right, so the epiglottis, so here's the uvula, and it's at the base, towards the back of the soft palate. And if you see, this is the bolus, this is the food that's going to be swallowed. So this animation kind of, this PowerPoint animates, so watch the little green, yellow bolus as it goes through. And now you see the epiglottis is pushing down. The whole purpose is to keep food from going into the trachea and causing you to choke. And there it is. So now it's in the esophagus, and peristalsis is going to push it down into the stomach. So let's talk about the stomach. I'll give you a couple other views before we go into the stomach. So we're now kind of at the feet, looking straight up, looking kind of we're at an inferior view. We're looking straight up. So you can see the glands one more time. Here's the submandibular, and that's a good way of seeing it. Here's the submandibular. It's underneath the mandible. There's the parotid. All right, and let's go ahead and go to a couple other angles. We're going to work our way down. As I go through this video, I'm going to pull out the structures here. And all right, so let's go ahead and look at the stomach. So as we look at the stomach, if you look over here, I've pulled out the small intestines and the large intestines so you can see. Here's the stomach connecting to the small intestines. This is the duodenum. Let's go ahead and look at, let's pull the stomach out here. And there's some structures that we should cover. Let's go back to our list. All right, so let's look at the cardioesophageal sphincter, the fundus, the atrium, the pyloric sphincter. The rugae, you're not going to see in the structure, but you'll see that in the cartoon pictures. Okay. So here's your greater curvature, your lesser curvature. This is the fundus. And then down here, what's labeled number 7 is the pyloric atrium, or pyloric region. This is the cardiac region, where you have the cardiac valve, or the esophageal valve. And then this would be the pyloric valve. So these 2 valves that open. Let's look here at the picture. You have a cardiac valve. So the bolus comes in here. It's now starting to mix, these churning. What's going to happen, and one of the unique things about the stomach is these 3 muscular layers. The other ones don't have 3. They've got the oblique layer. So this is going to allow for the mixing. And so chemical and mechanical digestion is happening here. And if you follow a mouse, you got the pyloric area. It's mixing in here. So it comes in as bolus. It's now called chyme. And it keeps being flush back up in there and drop down, back and down, mechanically just really beating it up. The volume is going to cause this rugae to distend, so they can actually expand out. And then you're going to have, with each one of these contractions, you're going to shoot out about 3 milliliters. If there's 30 milliliters of fluid here or chyme, for every contraction you send out about 3 milliliters through this opening, the pyloric sphincter. All right, so just to get it connected there, let's go ahead and look at the micro aspect of this. All right, and one of the things that we expect our students is recognize the different types of cells, like the gastric cell, the parietal cell, the G cell, the endocrine cells. They are called enteroendocrine cells, the chief cells. And then if we get our frame of reference here, all right, we've got mucus cells as well. Here's another view. So this, if you look over here, this top part would be, this would be the lumen up here. So this is where the food is, and then it's going to, and basically you have some absorption of like drugs and alcohol, but you're not going to absorb anything until you get to the small intestines. All right, so that is the stomach. Let's go ahead and go to the small intestines, and I'm going to probably do a second video where I go into the liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas. Just checking my time on the video here. So let's look at the models. So here's this is the small and large intestines that have been removed. And so you really can't tell duodenum from jejunum to ileum just by looking outside. You'd actually have to look microscopically at the cells and see the functional anatomy that's going on and tell, well, chemically what's different between the first part versus the last part. And actually, if you look at the probe, this is the end of the ileum. This is actually the ileocecal valve, and this is the cecum. This is the large intestines. But let's move to the first part of the small intestines. So the stomach has been removed now, and you'll see this opening. What's key about this is, as I start to talk about the pancreas and the liver, you're going to see that they are dumping contents into the tube. The alimentary canal, from mouth down to anus, one to each tube. The liver, the gallbladder, the pancreas, they are not part of the tube, but they have access, and they're going to be dumping contents into the tube, like enzymes for digestion, like bile coming from the gallbladder for the breakdown fatty foods. All right, so let's look a little more. So if you look at this picture, of course you got your three parts: the duodenum, the jejunum, the ileum. Now, this mesentery where it's held into place, there's a lot of blood vessels. It's the outgrowthing of the visceral peritoneum. Now, the small intestines are actually moved out of place in this picture. Let's get micro. Okay, so you see the three layers: the serosa, the muscularis area, the submucosa, and of course the mucosa, which is going to be open to the outside. This is the lumen. These circular folds are very similar to the rugae. I can go back to I showed you the rugae earlier. All right, let's look at what's going on here. These accessory tubes that are dumping into the small intestines. All right, so I want to talk more about the pancreas, and we kind of have the basic part of the small intestines. So we said the pylorus, which is going to be, if you go back to the picture, that's this first part. It's actually part of the stomach, but the part that connects, there's a valve, that pyloric valve. All right, we've got the duodenum, the jejunum, the ileum. Okay, one more thing, the microfolds. Within these circular folds, you actually go down, and these are good pictures. We expect students to recognize this from any view. So if you look at the circular folds, then you'll see the villi, and then you zoom in to each villus, that's the singular. These are villi. This would be a villus. You see the four tissue layers. The four tissue layers. This outside is the lumen. Down here is the serosa, and then you're going to see inside these cells here. And this is a good picture. You can see the mucus cells, the nerve, the lacteal, which is taking fatty foods that sends it to the lymphatic system, and all the digestion. The digestion, let's go back here, this is where the absorbed material is going to get into the blood vessels. That's going to go to the liver, to the hepatic portal system, and we'll talk about that shortly. All right, so I want to talk about the pancreas, the gallbladder, the liver, and talk about the hepatic portal system. So I've been filming for a while, so I'm going to stop this video and go to the next one, which is, we'll come right back to this. We'll just basically talk about these tubes that are all going into the alimentary canal, and what are they bringing.